Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today we have got a compilation of a bunch of my recent decluttering videos, so you can declutter along with me to your heart's content. I hope that you find this super motivating to get your space decluttered, your home cleaned up. We're tackling both indoor and outdoor spaces today. I have so much more decluttering where this came from to do as well, so if you're new to my channel, I'd love for you to subscribe because once the new year comes, I'm hitting the ground running trying to clear out unnecessary junk, and I would love for you to come along with me for the journey. But now let's just get started on this decluttering marathon. Hello and welcome to my extreme declutter. We are once again getting rid of all kinds of things. Today about 95% of it was donations, which always feels so good. This was a much overdue project for me and we still have a ways to go. So if you enjoy decluttering and want to watch me declutter my entire house, there's so much more where this came from. So be sure to subscribe for a new video every week. Today we are working on the living room first. We just did a big project in here building our beautiful new fireplace, but what you didn't see in that video was all the toys that I pushed to the side out of view, and today we need to go through them. We've been using the shelves that line our living room as like a makeshift toy storage, toy rotation system, but that ends today. We have storage in our new fireplace, so I wanted to take everything down off those shelves and take every single toy we had in here out of wherever it was and really go through it all, put pieces back together that got mixed up, throw out anything broken, and put aside what we no longer need for donations. Now, before you come at me for how many toys we have, full disclaimer, I did not buy most of these. My kids have birthdays, they have Christmas, they have grandparents that like to spoil them. We've also kept all our toys from when our oldest was a baby. So yes, there's a lot of toys here for the baby. I'm not denying that, but we're tackling it and it's all going to be okay. I feel like ever since I turned 30, I will just get hurt all the time for no reason. And this was one of those times. I was reaching up to grab all these toys off this shelf and I felt something pinch in my back and then it hurt the rest of the entire day. I have this bad habit, and I'm sure some of you are guilty of this too, so again, do not come at me, but sometimes I declutter something and it sits around my house for weeks and I eventually just put it back where I got it from because I've come to accept that I don't have what it takes to get it to where it needs to be donated. We've all done it, I'm sure, so if you're looking at this pile and thinking to yourself, didn't she declutter that in a previous video? Yeah, I probably did, and it never actually made its way out of my house. So my best advice if you're trying to declutter a space is to make sure you do it on a day where you're mentally prepared to finish the entire job. You have to get this stuff out of your house on the same day, and I don't mean driving around with it all in your trunk. Get it to the donation center and get it out, or you will probably end up doing what I tend to do and accept that the useless clutter is just a part of you and nobody wants that. It might look like I'm just kind of shuffling things around here, but I was trying to put everything into categories just to make going through all of this easier on myself and get all the toys back together, like anything that was missing pieces, trying to find those missing pieces. The laundry basket you can see on the left there is everything I was planning to donate. So like I was saying earlier, we built this beautiful new fireplace that I'm so proud of, and if you missed that video, I'll have it linked in the cards right here. I'm just so excited about it. It turned out amazing. So proud of us. But anyway, we have this storage down here now, so I am vacuuming it out, and then of course my vacuum died because, you know, why wouldn't I charge it before I started filming? So I had to grab my broom to finish up the job, but there was all kinds of like sawdust and stuff in there. So I'm cleaning that out, and then I'm going to use this as our storage going forward. So things like board games will go in here because those are kind of dangerous for the baby. They have small pieces and he loves to put anything and everything in his mouth that's not food. And then I'm going to use the remaining space as my toy rotation area. So I'll just store all the toys that he's not currently playing with. And then when I'm ready to switch them out, I can put all the current toys that are out into this storage unit and pull everything else out. I'm sure you guys know what a toy rotation system is, but in case you don't, it's like a quick explanation. So now I am putting all the other toys wherever I want them to go. So I'm planning to use this white toy box that Sutton got for Christmas to store a couple of things. I did not want it to be full by any means, so I just put a few things in there, but first I'm cleaning it out because it was full of dust and cat fur and crumbs and who knows what else. And of course, since my vacuum was dead, I could not vacuum out all of that, so I had to use like a dusting cloth, and then I went in with just an e-cloth to wipe everything down. But these are the few toys that I decided to put in there. I really wanted it to be a small selection because, again, I'm trying to do the toy rotation system, so I'm only leaving out a limited number of toys that are available to the baby and hoping that it helps him just to play a little bit better and be a little bit more content with what he has. There are some bookshelves on the side of that toy chest, so I'm picking a couple of books to leave out in the bookshelf, and then the other ones I'm going to put away in Sutton's room, and we're actually going to go through all of them later because I know I've said so many times I don't think you can have enough books, but guess what? We have too many books, so we're going to go through those in a little bit. This piece of furniture right here we are trying to sell, so I emptied it out and then I wiped it down and I'm just moving it kind of out of the way to this back wall here. And now that I have it there, I feel like at some point I do want to get some sort of storage for over there. I love the idea of getting some sort of tall piece of furniture that has glass doors, but with kids, I don't think that's a good idea, so I need to keep brainstorming and think of what I could maybe put there that would add some functional storage for us and look nice. I think at some point down the road, we would also like to potentially sell our couch and get something else. We'll see, but we would like to put the rug in the center of the room and have a couch on one side and then have 2 armchairs on the other side and a coffee table in the center. That's just not in the budget right now, but figured I'd throw that out there while I am mopping the floors, since a lot of you said that on my living room makeover that I should do something like that. But these are the toys that I left out. We've got a couple of things in his toy chest. We have the magnet tiles out. He absolutely loves those. And then this small selection of toys. The next room that I want to take care of is Sutton's room. There was so much clutter collected in here. I say this every single time I come in his room on a video, but his room is the hardest room for me to keep up with because typically the only time I can get anything done is when he's napping. So it's impossible for me to work on his room when he's asleep in there. But he was at daycare this day. He goes 1 day a week and it's been awesome. I'm able to get so much done on that one day, get my work done, and then I feel like I can just focus on him and being a mom. The rest of the week, it's been awesome for everybody. But what I'm doing here is picking up every single thing off the floor because I didn't want to keep bending over to have to go through everything. It's just easier for me to put it up on a higher surface and then go through all of it at the same time. some of this was trash, and then some of this was stuff that just didn't belong in his room or just didn't belong where it was. So I'm just going through all of this random junk here and getting it back where it goes, or throwing it away if that's what I need to do. I feel like in Sutton's room, his changing table tends to be the clutter magnet of the room. I don't know why. Things just get thrown onto the changing table and into these drawers, and then it ends up being a cluttered mess, and I can't find what I'm looking for when I need it. I actually found my phone charger while I was filming this. I thought that I left it at the beach. We had recently gone on like a weekend vacation down Cape Cod, and I thought I left my charger there, but turns out it was in Sutton's room the entire time. So I spent money on a new charger when I did not need to. So this was definitely a much needed decluttering project.
For several weeks, no, not ever, never, ever.
A lot of the stuff that was in this drawer was things that I used when Sutton was a newborn, and we just don't need them anymore. So I was going through and getting all that stuff out. A lot of it was trash because obviously I'm not going to donate old used pacifiers and things like that.
To think I'm the problem, that I was way too sensitive, reacting way too much, until I realized we were different types, carrying a different...
This bag here was all trash. A lot of it like old used pacifiers, like I said, or there was broken nail clippers and things like that. So that whole bag was just everything that I ended up throwing away. And then here we are going through all of his laundry. I'm gonna be honest here, I do not always fold my kids' laundry. Sometimes I just put it into organized piles by category and I just throw it into the drawer. Sometimes I end up going back in and folding it later, but truthfully, I don't really care all the time. Sometimes I want it to look beautiful and aesthetic, and sometimes I just want their clothes to be where it's supposed to be and easy to grab, and this was one of those days. So I'm just putting everything into categories to just get this done as quickly as possible. The only thing that I don't skimp out on here, so to speak, is hanging up his shirts. I've been hanging his shirts for the last couple of months, and that has been awesome. Just being able to see what he has and not having to fold them. I so much prefer being able to hang stuff. I haven't noticed any issues with my kids' clothes wrinkling up from not folding them and just throwing them into the drawers. But if I did happen to notice that, I have a hand steamer that I'm sure I could use, and I could fix it right up with no problem. It would take me like 2 minutes. So it's really not something that I worry about. But again, I don't always do this. Sometimes I fold it, sometimes I don't. It just kind of depends on the day.
Someplace where we can hide our space. Forget the world outside just for a while. Some way we will be fine. Safe place, just you and I, always. I will wait for us to collide. I'll wait, I'll wait. Old days, I used to blame me for crying, till I realized that I had needs you didn't meet. But that's all days, now that we see each other. Can we slow down, start over? Come closer.
Like I was saying earlier, I used to always say that I don't think you can have too many books, but we definitely, right now, we have too many books. There's a lot that we're not reading that I can't see us reading. So I just went through all the books to find any that I just don't think that either of my kids are going to be interested in. I kept anything that had like a handwritten personal note in it from family because that stuff is just sentimental to me. I have a lot of things that were from Carson's baby shower that I was gifted and family put in special notes for him. So again, I kept those, but I did get rid of any duplicates or anything that my kids aren't interested in reading, and I can't see us reading in the future.
Complicate things. One of my many skills. I'm making things up, all in my mind, 'cause I analyze their body language. I hear every change in their tone. Maybe they hate me, somehow I blame me. My mama said, that's just the weight of the world. It's not personal, it's just how it works. Don't be angry for too long or get burned, 'cause that's just the weight of the world.
And these are all the books that I decided to go ahead and donate. And here we have another toy drawer that was just full of stuff that we don't need and things that were thrown in here that don't belong. So I'm taking most things out of here and going through it all. I also wanted to vacuum it out a little bit. It was, once again, a little bit dusty. So I'm just keeping the things that I think Sutton would still be interested in, but anything else I'm going to go ahead and get rid of. I have a really hard time getting rid of the baby things because while I'm 99% sure that we're never having another baby, there's always that 1% chance it tells me not to get rid of things, but I've kind of just come to accept that if we did decide down the line to have another one, we'd probably just have to buy some more toys, and it's not the end of the world, but we just don't have the space to store all of this, and I'm sure there are other kids and babies out there who would enjoy and appreciate these toys a lot more than we do.
Wake up 2 p.m. I don't know where we are. Looks like a cheap motel with our clothes on.
This laundry basket has been sitting on my bedroom floor for probably a month, and it's full of random clutter that I threw in here, didn't know where to put it, and needed to go through. So we're finally taking care of that today. This is something that I do way more than I'd like to admit, where I just kind of fill a bin with random stuff and I don't go through it and it just sits there. So this felt really good to get done, and I had some more things in here to throw into our donation bin. I had some things that just needed to be thrown away, and then I had some things that just needed to be put back where they belong.
Just jumping out the window, try to cling on to it. You got me holding on to something I know it can burn me down, but I don't care about it, 'cause I got you close and kinda hoping that one day we'll get the rhythm of it.
Once we finished going through this bin, I loaded up my car and headed to the donation center and got all this clutter out of our lives. My trunk was completely full and I felt so good. I hope this video gives you some motivation to declutter a space in your home, and don't forget to subscribe if you're new to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you again next week. Hello everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a huge declutter and deep clean of my kitchen. This was desperately needed, and we're just going to get right into it. So first off, I'm spraying some Easy Off into the oven, and I'm going to let that soak while I work in the rest of the kitchen. It was really just the bottom of the oven and also the door that needed to be cleaned. So I'm kind of just focusing on those areas instead of taking all the wire racks out and cleaning those as well. I've done that pretty recently, and honestly, I just don't enjoy doing it. So we're not going to take those out today. Before I can move on to anything else, I always like to get the dishes out of the sink, and you can see I have the water running here. I was trying to let it heat up and it was taking a while, but obviously I want hot water when I'm rinsing dishes off. But while I'm waiting for that to heat up, I'm collecting all of the recycling that's in the sink and using the running water to make sure I rinse everything before I throw it into our recycling bin.
somewhere by a gated star.
Just a little PSA here, if you're not the person that regularly does the dishes, but you enjoy oatmeal, please fill up your bowl with water or rinse your bowl after you've eaten oatmeal because it literally turns into cement. You can see here I am struggling to get the oatmeal out of this bowl, and even if I put it in the dishwasher with the oatmeal still stuck in it, it would not come off. I'm telling you, it becomes cement. So I'm just letting you know, if you really love the person in your life who's doing your dishes, please rinse your bowl if you've had oatmeal.
We can go insane. Trust me, I won't let you down.
So the main project that I really wanted to do was to declutter our pantry, and I also wanted to do our fridge as well, but I ended up only having time for the pantry because it was bad. You guys are gonna see it was such a mess. There was so much stuff in there, a ton of stale food, unfortunately. So we're gonna tackle that project in a little bit, but before I could do that, I needed the rest of the kitchen to be clean. So that's why I'm doing the dishes, spraying the easy off. I'm gonna tidy up a couple areas in the kitchen before we get to doing that because I knew it was gonna be overwhelming as soon as I took all that food out of the pantry. So everything else needed to be clean in order for me to tackle that.
We could be as one and we'll escape.
I know we've been through a lot, holding hands while screaming at each other. And I don't know how to start, but I still love you like I do.
I don't know if you guys saw, but my sink was just disgusting when I was cleaning the dishes. At one point I had to like scrape out all the food that was stuck there in the drain because it was preventing it from like draining down, and it was just gross. So I'm scrubbing the sink out as usual. This is just one of those things I always like to do when my sink is that piled up with dishes because chances are it's pretty yucky underneath.
Me tonight, run away with me. It'd be worth the time. Run away with me. I made you feel alright. Run away with me, and I'll be good this time around. I'll be good.
Now I'm going to go ahead and dry everything off and put it away. I wanted to ask you guys, I kind of played with the speed in this video, so some of these clips I have sped up pretty fast, some of them are slowed down a little bit. Typically I speed everything up really fast and really chop it up. I want to fit as much content as I can into a video, but then that typically makes my videos a little shorter. So I don't know if you guys prefer shorter, more fast-paced videos, or if you like the longer ones where things are a little bit more slowed down and maybe more chatty. So please let me know in the comments because I definitely want to make sure I'm doing what you guys like here on my channel. Now I'm going to clean off my stovetop using the pink stuff. This is actually another comment aside from my green pans that I get all the time. So how do I keep my stovetop looking clean? I just use the pink stuff. Typically on like a daily basis, I'll just spray some all-purpose cleaner onto the stovetop and wipe it down with like a microfiber cloth or paper towel if that's what I happen to have. But if I'm really trying to deep clean and have my stovetop look super shiny and nice and new, I'll use the pink stuff. That works the best. So I just kind of scuff it on. I use like a soft sponge. I just really paint it on there and then I wipe that off, usually using a paper towel, and then go in with a wet cloth. And it comes out looking beautiful. We have had cold after cold in this house for the last month. 'Tis the season, so I had a bunch of medicine on this windowsill that I needed to put away, and then I just wanted to completely clear it off. I feel like there's just so much clutter in here all the time right now, so I'm decluttering that windowsill for good, getting all that clutter off of there, and then I'm going to wipe down the window. So while I was doing this, I happened to notice that the light right above my head was incredibly dirty. It was practically growing legs with the dust. It was about to just start walking away. So I decided to also clean that while I was doing all of this. Like, look at how cloudy this light is. It was just looking so bad. So this really helped to brighten it up and just make it look shiny again. I have another light fixture in the kitchen that I should also do this to, but I didn't do it the same time I was cleaning this one, which I really should have.
I thought we could fix them, but we got tired. There's nothing left to do but to say goodbye and try to move on. I'll get over
I was using my eCloth general purpose cloth for a lot of my cleaning on this day. You guys know I've been using those since, I want to say it was 2020 when I bought my first set. They're still some of my favorite cleaning cloths. I use them all the time, so just wanted to let you guys know what I'm using here since you don't see me spraying anything, and whenever I'm not spraying something, people ask, well, how are you actually cleaning? Well, eCloths clean with just water, so that's really cool. Another thing I wanted to declutter off of my kitchen counters was the extra dish soap and hand soap bottles. Right now, the only hand soap we use is that purple one you can see right there. We weren't using the other two bottles at all, so they were just taking up space, and I really needed to get things off of our counters. So I'm also going around the rest of the counters, putting away anything else that doesn't need to be out, freeing up space. I'm telling you, our counters have just been covered in stuff for quite a while now, and it's been driving me insane. So this felt really good to get all this clutter off of there and have like free looking countertops again.
A new place, a new home, for a while, let me feel alive. Nothing to hold me back, take my time, just enjoy the ride. A new man passing by, life is good, best I've ever felt. Get me up, somewhere new, somewhere I can find myself. Oh, I feel so alive.
I thought I would get like a really cute angle here of the tree in the background, and then my son decided it was time to start punting the football across the room repeatedly, so I hope you guys enjoy that as I clean off my island. Carson loves to play pretend football, and I was filming this on a Sunday. I don't know if you guys can tell, but there's football playing on the TV in the background. And whenever he's watching football, he tries to like reenact whatever's happening. So there is just always chaos in our house with two little boys.
'Cause I found my way. 'Cause I found my way, my way, my way, my way, my way. 'Cause I found my way, my way, my way, my way, my way. I found my way, I found my way. I was in the dark against it all, but made it through the day. 'Cause I found my way, I found my way. In bad times, I know I'll be okay. 'Cause I found my way.
Okay, we are moving on to the pantry project. So this was really bad. We had so much food in here, and it was to the point where I was losing things. They were getting shoved in the back and I couldn't see them, and they weren't getting used up, and they were going bad, which is so unfortunate. So I knew that this really needed to be taken care of so that we can be better going forward. Now, I don't know if maybe I should give like a trigger warning here or something, but I'm going to be throwing away quite a bit of food, and I know it's bad. I'm aware. You don't have to bully me in the comments. Honestly, if you do bully me in the comments, I might cry, so please don't. I feel really bad whenever we have food waste. We try so hard not to, but it had been a very long time since I had gone through a pantry. I can't remember the last time I cleaned it out, and like I said, things were getting shoved in the back, and there's nothing I can do about finding stale food. At that point, we're not going to eat it. So you'll see as I'm going through everything from in the pantry, I was taste testing things to see if they were still good, and there was just so much that was stale. You can like see it all over my face as soon as I take a bite of a lot of this stuff. But anyway, if it's gonna upset you, just shield your eyes. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to be like this. We really normally are not this bad, but we're going to take care of it today. So I'm starting off by just doing the top half of the pantry because I was feeling quite overwhelmed, and I knew we didn't have the space to take everything out of the bottom half as well. So we're going to break it up into two different steps here by taking everything out of the top portion first and going through it. I wanted to show you guys here. You can see the expiration date has passed, long past, on these snacks here that my husband had in there. So I did have to dump those. Again, so unfortunate. But yeah, that's just the beginning. So here we go. We're dumping things out. I'm testing things, I'm checking expiration dates, looking for mold on bread, and anything that's no longer good, I am going to toss into this bag here. Anything that's recyclable, I'm taking the food out and dumping it into the trash bag, and then I will break down the cardboard later on, which you guys will see. So I'm doing my best to make sure I'm at least recycling and just trying to do my part despite the food waste.
With a heavy heart, I know what I've done, and I'm too afraid to let it go. If I could.
Another thing that really contributes to our struggle with food and the reason why we had so much is that our youngest son, Sutton, he is going to be 2 in January. He has a lot of trouble with eating, and I don't really talk about it super often, but I'm sure I've mentioned it in past videos. He really does not like food, and it's something that we struggle with every single day, trying to get him to eat. He's actually finally visiting a GI in a couple months. We may end up in food therapy, but he gags on everything if it even comes close to his mouth. He has like a few, I guess, safe foods, we could call them, that he will eat, but I'm constantly buying new food trying to get him to try something else, and he just won't. So it's a real pain point in our family. We've struggled with that for, I want to say it's been the last year, and hopefully once we finally get him to the GI and potentially get him into food therapy, he'll start being more adventurous and he'll start eating more foods. But a lot of things went bad that I bought specifically for him, hoping that he would like it, and he didn't end up liking it. And then my older son didn't like it either or whatever, but it's been a real battle, and yeah, it's really hard. So if you guys have ever had a child that struggles like that with eating, I could definitely use some encouragement in the comments. Let me know, do they eat now? Because it's so rough, and we're just constantly trying and failing, and hopefully soon, once he visits that doctor, it starts to get a little bit better. I always say this in my decluttering videos, and a lot of you have told me that you found it helpful. So typically I will take everything out of a space. I'll do a little bit of sorting through it, but if I'm starting to feel overwhelmed, I'll just start putting things away. And as I'm doing that, it kind of weeds out the things that I want to declutter as I'm going. And it just makes the process a little bit easier for me.
Next to me with heavy eyes, while I shiver inside with a heavy heart. I know what I've done, and time is running out for me.
I really try to be grateful for what we have, and I am super grateful. I love our kitchen ever since we did our renovations, but I certainly dream about having a big walk-in pantry someday. I really hope we can eventually make that happen. This is a major improvement over what we used to have in here, and then also when I was living in my apartment, if you guys were around then, I didn't have a pantry at all, so I had to be super creative about storing food. But this is still hard with a family of 4, and my husband eats a lot, so I feel like he's got a lot of food in here. And then also now Carson is getting older and he eats a ton of food and loves his snacks, so the pantry storage is a little bit tricky. And I've tried a couple of different ways of organizing our pantry. I've tried it without bins and with bins. I do think that the bins are helpful, but I do find myself daydreaming about a big walk-in pantry someday.
It's just that my heart can't take it. I didn't know what it would cost me when I let you go. I feel alone, and I'm just singing. It should have been.
So this is what my countertop is looking like with wave number 2 of pulling out all this food from the pantry, and we're going to start going through all of this now. So these pretzels, I want to say they've been in the pantry for like a year and a half, and nobody is eating them. So at some point you do have to get rid of that stuff. I'm sure they probably weren't very good anymore, even in like a sealed container like that, but they were just taking up space that I really could have used for other things.
Your place, but now the ground is shaking. Could be a phase, but it feels like it will never go away until we make up. I can't be myself. I never knew how much.
In our local area, I've seen that there are a couple of different programs where I could donate meals for the holidays. So I've been thinking about like sponsoring a family for the holidays that needs some extra help this year. I've been looking into that. But if you guys have anything that you do every single year as far as donating or helping other families in need, please leave whatever you do in the comments below. I would love to hear it because I'm always looking for more ideas and more ways that I can help. And I'm sure there are other people watching this video who would love to hear the different ways that they can get involved as well.
I could be wrapped around your arms instead of being lonely. It should have been you. Another time, another place, I just know. You could have been the one who made me feel home. What a crime and what a shame to let go. Ooh, it should have been you. Another time.
I'm taking a break from sorting through things for a second so I can clean out a couple of these bins that I wanted to reuse. So this pancake mix one, there was super old pancake mix in there, and I decided to dump that and put what was left of the pancake mix we have been using in there, so I'm cleaning that one out. And then I also wanted to clean one of these jars. This is the one that had those like peanut butter pretzels in them, and I'm going to use this jar as a cookie jar to combine the Oreo cookies that we had in the pantry.
This world's too slow for you. I think there's beauty in the gray, the cold, but you just want the gold. And there's no way
I was kind of brainstorming things we could talk about in the comments below before I was doing the voiceovers to this video. And one thing I had thought of was I was trying to come up with a list of things that maybe I would like to receive for Christmas this year to tell my husband. But I really don't have much on my list this year. I feel like I just don't need a lot. I also don't want to bring a ton of clutter into our house. So anyway, I would love to know, what are you guys asking for Christmas this year? And if you don't have a list of gifts that you would like, if you could pick one thing, even like the most extravagant thing you could think of, one thing you could get for Christmas, please let me know what it is in the comments.
this is goodbye, bye, bye. Elaine made you crazy, crazy, yeah, yeah. I see your stories and I can't believe all the people you meet. Think you belong with everybody else, but you belong with me. And there's nothing I can do, 'cause you don't see straight when it comes to her. No, she's gonna eat you up whole and spit you out, and then you'll be free. Every piece. I wish you could be happy, yeah, yeah.
We are almost done sorting through everything, and then I'm going to start putting everything away because, again, like I said, when I start to get overwhelmed doing a big decluttering project, I'll just start putting things away, and it helps me weed out the things that I probably don't need as I'm going. So I always find that this method just works the best for me. But you can see that I'm kind of combining snacks as I find them, just trying to eliminate that excess packaging so that we don't have quite as much packaging in the way, blocking me from being able to see things, and then we just have more space to store things.
Everything I wish you could be happy, yeah, yeah. But I can't lie. LA made you crazy, yeah, yeah.
I usually do the things that I specifically keep for Sutton on this top shelf in the second half of the pantry, and then the next shelf down I usually do like dinner sides and pasta and stuff like that, and then the next shelf down I do Carson's snacks or his snacks for school and things like that. So I'm kind of sticking to that typical way that we put our pantry together. Whenever I am reorganizing a space, I find that if I put something in a different spot than we're used to it being in, we'll keep going to that old spot trying to grab it, and it just becomes frustrating. So I didn't want to switch up anything. I wanted to put things back where we typically put them to avoid the struggle that would happen for weeks when we're reaching for things and they're not where we thought they were, and then we're losing things, and it totally defeats the purpose of the organization. So maybe this system is not the best, but it works for us, and that's all that matters.
I don't want it to stop. Even though we fight sometimes and it feels like a war zone, I still care about us. How do you move on when everything goes wrong? I'm trying to find a way to get you out my head. Don't know how to cope with being so broken. Girl, I can't forget about what we said. I just wanna love you a little bit more. Don't just walk away from me and close the door. Baby, pull me closer now before it's over. I just wanna love you a little bit more. Oh, I know that it's difficult dealing with emotions, but I want you to know that you'll always be on my mind, even in the hard times.
Now here is the after of the pantry. It looks so much better. We can see everything that we have, and my husband was really excited when he saw that I did this because it was a struggle for all of us to find what we were looking for. But this is all the recycling that I collected while I was going through all the food. So this is all the excess packaging, and I'm going to break all that down and bring that out into our recycling bin. But then I'm also going to show you guys the big bag of trash that I had as well. So this was all the food that unfortunately was no longer good. And then there is also some excess packaging in there as well, but just things that I couldn't recycle. But we're going to get rid of all this now, and we are, I don't know, this was probably like 20 pounds lighter of food in our pantry.
It's hard to stay real in a world full of fakes. It's hard to find truth when the liars are great. I'm trying my best to stay out of your way. Oh well, oh well. You talk a big talk, but got nothing to say. You hold your head high, but your morals to fade.
I almost forgot about wiping out the oven, but I did not, thankfully. So I grabbed a sponge, wet it with some hot water, and I started scrubbing the inside of the oven. This did a really good job. It's not perfect. There's one spot in particular on the bottom of the oven that was like burnt on grease or something. I think it was from a pizza that dripped, and that did not come all the way off, but I think with another pass it probably would have. I recently tried to use the self-cleaning on my oven, and you guys might remember that video, but it triggered like a full-blown allergy attack for me. It was terrible. My house absolutely stunk, and I'll never do it again. But I think this oven actually has a steam clean option, which I don't know how to do, but I'm going to look into that because I've heard that that is better. But please let me know, because I've heard that self-cleaning is really bad for your oven. I don't know if steam cleaning, using the steam clean function on the oven, is also really bad. So if you guys have any experience with that, I would love to hear about your experiences in the comments. Now, something that I would probably do if I were not filming this is leave all these bins in the sink to deal with another time, and then I would be so frustrated with myself because I'd have a sink full of dishes. And I just wanted to complete this whole project on this day. So we're also going to tackle all these dishes. These are just empty bins that I didn't end up needing in the pantry, but I'm going to keep them upstairs stored in like our corner cabinet in case I do end up needing them at some point. I didn't want to like put them downstairs and then not have them when I need them. I just like them to be easily accessible.
watch the sun go down over the same old town, like so many times before we look at the
Now, the last thing that I wanted to do was to clean my floors, so I'm just pulling out my Tinco wet dry vacuum. I forget exactly which model I have, but you guys always ask me, so I'll try to remember to leave the link down below. But I'm using that to clean up my floors, and then once we're all done doing that, we're going to call it a day on this video. Sutton took a super long nap. I was actually able to film this entire video while he was asleep, so I felt super accomplished. He slept for, I want to say it was like 3 hours. So this whole deep clean and declutter of the kitchen took me around 3 hours, just for some context. And I've cut it down into a 30-minute video. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and it gave you some motivation to clean and declutter a space in your home. Be sure to subscribe if you are new and turn on your notification bells so you don't miss any of my future uploads. And I hope that I will see you again next week for another video.
no matter what, 'cause you have a piece of my heart, and I know that we're not perfect, but I'm gonna miss all that we had, you know.
Searching for something that ain't lost. Have we got it?
Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. If this is your first time here, you have picked a really interesting video to click on. I was honestly a little afraid to even post this one. We're starting off in Carson's room. He is my 6-year-old son and his room was atrociously messy. It was filthy and it looks like it's been neglected for some time now, and you just never know the kind of backlash you'll face by being this real on the internet, but here we go. I hope this gives you lots of cleaning motivation, and now here's a clip of what it was looking like underneath his bed. Every single time I lift up his mattress to clean underneath it, I'm truly shocked and think we've just outdone ourselves with how messy it is. It's crazy. I have no idea how all of this stuff manages to collect underneath the bed, but I'm going to go around, pick up everything. I'm just kind of shoving it into a basket that I'll go through later. Obviously a lot of this was trash, but there was random things like socks and a hover ball and some things that were worth saving underneath his bed. But I'm taking all of the big things out from under his bed, and then we're going to break out actually my big vacuum to vacuum all of this. As Carson gets older, I do try to respect his privacy as far as his room goes. I don't want to overshare. I don't film in here super often, but I do need to go in there and do a really deep clean sometimes, and this was one of those days, so I did go ahead and film it, but I asked his permission before I filmed his room and posted it on the internet. Carson typically does do a pretty good job of picking up his own room, and we do have a little bit of a schedule for his cleaning and the way that we go about tidying up and maintaining his room. But that had really fallen behind for a couple of reasons. We've had sickness in the house, and then he's been super busy with school. We've had Halloween. We've had a ton of different Halloween events that we've been going to, and it's just kind of taken a back seat. And while the everyday maintenance of his room is really more his responsibility than it is mine, it still is my job as his mom to go in there and do a deep clean. And there are just certain things that he's not going to be able to do at just 6 years old. So I feel more than happy to go into his room and do a really deep clean for him when it gets this bad. We're going to be vacuuming every crevice of this room, so I vacuumed all underneath his mattress area, vacuumed inside of the drawer that's under his bed, took out all of his cards so they wouldn't get damaged when I was vacuuming, And then I'm also going to be wiping down his bed frame, which you can see here, and just wiping down all the surfaces in his room. Like I said before, the daily maintenance in his room is really more up to him, but it had definitely fallen behind over the past few weeks. So I'm doing a lot of tidying up here and putting things back where they belong that have been left out that just definitely were not where they're supposed to be. As an adult, I'm even like this sometimes, where if my space gets super out of control, sometimes I don't even know where to start and I find it very overwhelming. So I am sure that's how he's been feeling about trying to tidy up his room when it's gotten so out of control. I got these containers that you're seeing right here from Target, and I shared them in the video where initially I had put these in his room, but I think they're the Hearth and Hand collection, and I really like them because they're decorative, but I can also use them to store some things that he likes to keep on his dresser, so they're functional as well. I could barely even move in his room because of the mess, so I went ahead and started picking things up and throwing them onto the bed. This bedding is the bedding I'm going to put on his bed later. It's all clean. I just needed to wait for the mattress protector to be all clean and dry before I could put the rest of his bed back together. Andy had a ton of blankets that needed to be put away as well, so I'm putting those into his closet.
Losing track of space and time.
Now we are moving on to cleaning out his bookcase and all of the clutter that had collected around it. It was also moved, and you'll see in a second I'm literally fighting with this bookcase, trying to get it back into the corner where it belongs. I don't know what it was stuck on, but it took me a little bit to get it back where it goes. But I know the lighting here is super distracting. I had the window open and it was like causing a glare, and so I'm sorry about that. I didn't realize that it looked like that when I was filming. But it is really pretty typically when I'm not filming. I like the way that the sun kind of shines in, and all the little trees and plants and everything that we have outside kind of create like a glistening effect. I think it's super pretty during the day.
Can we just pretend we're grown-ups for a minute? You said you're sorry, but talk is cheap. You got away with it too easily. Can we just pretend we're grown-ups for a minute? You've been a mean girl.
I feel like if you guys watch my videos, you know I always do this, but I tend to collect things from around the room and I put them on the bed, because I don't like to have to constantly bend over to be picking things up. So if I put them all on the bed where I can see them, I can just kind of go through them slowly and put things back where they belong or get rid of trash or whatever. But it's the same way for decluttering, and you guys have told me that this trick has really helped you, and that is to just kind of put things back as you go, and then what you're left with at the end is usually the stuff that does not matter, that you don't need, that's trash or donations or whatever, and the decluttering kind of declutters itself. So I didn't go into this day thinking I was going to declutter Carson's room at all. I've actually done quite a few declutters in here recently, and I didn't think that it needed it, but as I was cleaning his room, I found all kinds of things that we were able to declutter, and it will just help keep his room a little bit cleaner in the future.
Alone in your bed, it's getting late. You think why'd you let him go? You think why'd you let him? Hannah, eat your heart out. Your ex-man is with me now. You've been
Whenever I use this vacuum in my videos, I always get questions about it, so I'll be sure to have that linked down below in my description box if you're interested in checking it out. It's the best. We are going to come back in here in a little bit. Sorry, I'm like so shaky and out of breath because that was a lot of work. I hope my camera's not shaking around. But yeah, his room, this is probably the worst it's been in a while. It's definitely fallen behind, very, very dusty, but it smells much better in here now. I'm gonna get some essential oils going in the diffuser to improve the scent even more. I have this big basket full of things that I'm getting rid of, either trash or just torn apart footballs. And there's a stick. How that got in here, I truly couldn't tell you. But yeah, I'm gonna declutter all of this, and then after I do some cleaning around the rest of the house, we're gonna come back in here because I still need to make his bed, but his bedding is, his mattress protector is in the dryer right now, so I can't put the bed back together until I have the mattress protector. So I also need to fold his laundry or put away his laundry, so we're gonna spend some more time in here, but it's definitely improved, and I'm hoping that now that it's like a clean, fresh slate, that he does a better job of keeping up with his room. He was sick for the last week, so there was that. We've had Halloween, we've been super busy, so not to make excuses for how bad it was in here, but he's only 6 years old. He's at school every day, all day. He's been sick, he's had things going on, so he wasn't able to 100% stay on top of his room. So I'm happy to come in here and completely reset the room for him, and then hopefully going forward he does a better job at cleaning up himself. Moving on to our bedroom, I'm going to go ahead and make the bed. I really don't like leaving my bed unmade for the entire day. I will end up making it at some point, even if it's literally right before bed, just because I like the feeling of getting into a made bed. And also, when your bed is made, it feels like it kind of gets you going, and you want the rest of your house to be clean as well, and it feels like you've accomplished a lot, because especially in our house, our bedroom is so tiny that the bed takes up like the majority of our room. So if the bed's not made, the room looks like a complete disaster. And the instant gratification that I get from making the bed makes me really want to continue cleaning.
I just hope that we're still okay. You always pick me up.
We have been running our air purifiers a lot. This one is a Bissell, I think. I've had it for a while. And I'm just trying to clean the air in the house because I feel like we've just been like tossing sickness back and forth between each other. So hoping that that will help. I got a new filter for it, but that's what that was on the floor if you were wondering. And now I'm cleaning off this dresser a little bit, wiping everything down. It was so dusty. I truly don't know where all this dust comes from because I feel like I'm constantly dusting. And then I'll also clean off my nightstand. I don't typically show my husband's side of the room because honestly that's his job to clean his side of the room, which sounds so bad, but we all live here. We all take equal part in cleaning up the house. So I usually just clean my side and he takes care of his, but typically all that's really on his side is laundry that needs to be put away, and he would prefer to do that himself anyway, even if I offered.
In that hallway, we couldn't keep our hands away from each other.
Now I'm just quickly taking out our recycling, which was completely full to the brim, putting it outside in our outside recycling bin and replacing these bins so I can get all the recycling that's as usual in our kitchen sink put away into the bins.
'Cause you always pick me up and let me down.
I feel like doing dishes used to be one of my favorite tasks, and these days I really just don't enjoy it. I actually used to prefer hand washing my dishes. Now I put everything in the dishwasher. I do still rinse my dishes before I put them in the dishwasher. Also, that was a woolly mammoth, I think, that was in my sink. No idea how that got there, but that's just life with children. But yeah, I just really don't enjoy doing the dishes these days. I really dread it, and sometimes I put it off for far too long.
We want to what we want. To what we want.
We're going to take out the trash now. Typically this is my husband's job as well, but I feel like every time I film, I have to do this. So it seems like I'm always the one doing it. But I needed to get that taken out, and I just wanted to let you guys know I finally restocked our trash bags. So I'm able to put the proper trash bag in here, and it doesn't look so bad as it did in the last few videos. But now I'm going to put away everything that was on our island. I had done a quick run to Target that morning, so I had a few things that needed to be put away. And then just as usual, we had junk that collected on our island that didn't belong there. I wanted to walk around and just kind of tidy up the rest of the countertops as well. There was a lot of stuff on the counters. I really try to keep them as clear as possible. I don't know how so much stuff is always accumulating. That's just the way that it is. We recently got an ADT security system. So if you're seeing, there's like a Google Home hub and there's a hub for the ADT as well. I don't think I'm going to leave the ADT hub there. It's just there for now. But I really like the Google Home. We never had one of those before, and it's so fun, and it's so much better than the little like Echo we've had forever, or Alexa device that I'm taking apart right here. But yeah, we have been really enjoying the Google Home. And then hopefully by the time this video goes up, I have posted a reel on my Instagram where I kind of introduced the ADT security system, and I'm so proud of that reel. Assuming all goes well and I get to post it, it was like such a creative and fun thing for me. So if you guys don't follow me over on Instagram, you should go find me over there. I always have my Instagram handle on the screen, like throughout the video at certain parts, and then I have my information in the description box down below. But I would love for you guys to come follow me over there, because I share very different stuff over on Instagram versus what I share over here on YouTube. So it's not like you're just getting the same content on two different platforms. Carson had dropped his entire bowl of cereal that morning, and the milk had splattered all over our island, so I needed to go ahead and clean that up. So that's what I'm doing here. I waited too long to empty the canister from my vacuum, so it was so full that normally when you open it, it just pops everything right out, but nothing was coming out because it was so jammed. So I had to just grab a little like plastic fork that I had in the closet, and I used that to kind of gather everything out of inside the vacuum so I could clean it out. Now we're just going to tidy up the living room. There were a few too many toys in here, so I wanted to just get a couple of things to bring downstairs into our playroom, because a few things have made their way up from the playroom, and I like to make sure we're bringing something down in exchange for bringing something up, if that makes sense.
Small city thinking, I get why you left. Small-minded people sure know how to drink. I came to the party, I laughed at the jokes you made. I wish that I hadn't, 'cause now the joke's on me. I didn't come here just so I could watch you make a mess. I didn't come here to ugly cry in my favorite dress. So what the hell were you thinking then when you kissed your lips? Now I'm kinda glad you did.
Okay, so I'm about to take all of this downstairs into our playroom. I have not seen Sutton playing with these things for a while. The car we may end up decluttering, but I'm not sure. I'm definitely going to keep the Love Every toys because I really like those ones, and I feel like if I just give it a break for a little while and then bring them back up, he'll start playing with them again. And then I also want to keep the barn because we are working on farm animals, but I'm going to bring them downstairs so they're not just up here in the living room. This room can get so cluttered so quickly, so I just want to bring down the excess. We try to keep a pretty minimal selection up here for toys. So we have magnet tiles. This is not full, but it's just got a bunch of random stuff in it. And then we have just what's over here. We are thinking about getting like a real end table or whatever you want to call it for in here. So eventually we're going to get rid of that setup. But that's when we have extra money, which is not right now. So Anyway, this is the limited selection that we keep up here, and then we do have some that are stored in here, and that's for our toy rotation. We did put up our tree this weekend, and that's not because I wanted it up this early. It's because I was filming for a Christmas campaign, so I needed the tree up, but we haven't decorated it yet. And that is where it's going to be this year. I think it looks so pretty next to the fireplace. We could really get a super tall tree, but I love this one. We got this one from Lowe's a couple of years ago. I want to say it was in 2020. And the one downside to this tree is that it's not pre-lit, so I have to string the lights, which is so unfortunate. But I really, really love the tree. And then this tree collar, pretty much every year I get questions about it. The tree collar came from Target. I don't know if they have this exact one, but they always come out with tree collars every year. And then we did just recently get this chair, which my cats are loving. So this is just like an accent chair for over here, and I've got it covered with a blanket because the cats love it and I don't want them to start clawing at it. This is for a video that I am working on right now that's like a small office for small homes type video. I'm not 100% sure on the title yet, but you'll get all the information on like this chair and then also what's behind me, which is a surprise when that video goes up. So if you're wondering why you never see this side of the room, that's why. In last week's video, I did some Christmas decorating and I had put out these little village houses. All of these little houses came from the Target dollar section, or Bullseye's Playground, or whatever it's called, because I am not trying to spend a ton of money on Christmas decorations, and I want it to just be fun for the kids. I just want them to see Christmas colors and Christmas fun and not worry too much about everything being like perfectly aesthetically pleasing and everything else. So anyway, I think these are really fun for the kids. So that's the way that I decorated our mantle this year. I had put this fake snow up, and I'm going to continue to put fake snow for the new ones that I got today, and just have a whole little village going here on our mantle. And now we are back in Carson's room, and it's time to go ahead and make his bed, which is the worst because of this mattress protector. I really feel like it's necessary to have a waterproof mattress protector. You can see here I'm also putting down like a good night's pad because I just would rather be safe than sorry. So I layer up on the protection having a child just in case. And so anyway, I feel like it's really necessary to have a zip up waterproof mattress protector for children just in case. You never know if there might be sickness or accidents or something, but it's torture to put these back on the mattress. If you guys have like an easy way to get this on the mattress, please let me know. Typically, I would have my husband help me with it and he would hold the mattress up while I kind of like shimmy the mattress protector over it, but I had to do it myself and it was literally torture. I was so tired after this. I was sweating, my back hurt. It was just not very fun. But the good news is that his Betty's bedding is so easy to put on the bed, and it's basically like a sleeping bag. I feel like I get questions about it all the time. So the way that it works is there's a fitted sheet and then there's like a top sheet, and it's got like extra panels on the side so that when it's unzipped, you have some extra length on either side. But it's basically a sleeping bag, and he's so warm and cozy in this. He loves it, and he can also make his bed himself very, very easily when the zipper bedding is on. It just takes like 2 seconds to zip up your bed, and we love it. I feel like I'm not making any sense right now while I'm talking about it, but moral of the story is that we love this bedding. It's definitely worth it, although it is pricey. Moving on to laundry, he had a laundry basket full of clean clothes that needed to be put away. And just a quick PSA here, I've mentioned this in all my recent videos, but if you don't want to fold your kids' clothing, you don't have to, and that's totally fine. So when I do my kids' clothing now, I just separate everything into piles, and then I put their clothes away in their drawers unfolded, just in categories, and that works perfectly fine for us. We have no issues with anything wrinkling, and it's been such a time saver, and I have no regrets. Once I was done putting away all of Carson's laundry, I needed to grab Sutton's laundry to throw into the washing machine. So that's what I'm doing here, and then we are going to move on to cleaning the bathroom a little bit. We have had some big troubles with this bathroom lately. I tell you guys all the time, this bathroom's so tiny, and it's truly the worst thing about our house. We really struggle only having one bathroom, but then also having only one bathroom that is so small. And the biggest issue that we have in here, which I've told you guys about, is the ventilation. Our ceiling fan that we have in here really doesn't do anything, and it's collecting mold around it, and I bleach it and then it just comes back, and I'm honestly worried that there's mold behind the vent fan or somewhere up there. So my husband's gonna go up in the attic and check it out, but it has been a struggle lately. We ended up buying some mold and mildew killer off of Amazon, and that worked amazing, so I'm hoping that really helps. But we're planning to replace the vent fan and also go up in the attic to just make sure it's not a bigger issue going on. We really could use a window in the shower or something, but this bathroom is a struggle.
Show me what it's like from the other side. Would you stay another night? 'Cause
Hello everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing a complete disaster backyard transformation. You know, if you watch my channel, we have done a ton of work inside of our home, and we've had absolutely no time left for outside of our home, and so our yard is a mess. Our one tiny shed was a mess. There was way too much stuff. It was dirty and gross, so we're tackling all of it. Today's video is so kindly sponsored by Patio Well, and we're building one of their 10x10 metal sheds to really increase our storage space and help us get our backyard under control. So this is where we started. Like I said, we had one shed in our backyard and it was absolutely jam-packed full of stuff. We don't have a garage or any other type of storage at our home for this type of thing, so it was completely overflowing with stuff and we had to get it under control. So this is where we decided to put our new Patio Well 10x10 metal shed out in the back corner of our yard. The first thing that my husband did was build a base for it, so that's what you're seeing here, and then we'll get into the shed build. We got our 10x10 metal shed from Patio Well. Patio Well sells small sheds, large-sized metal sheds, small deck boxes, and large deck boxes for your outdoor storage needs. Their slogan is to simplify your life and store your patio. They also have new plastic sheds that are coming in December, so if you'd prefer that, I would check out their website and join their email list so you'll be the first to know. My husband and I have never built a shed before. This was entirely new territory for us, and we were definitely a little apprehensive, but we really found building this Patio Well shed to be so easy. Patio Well sends over very clear and easy to follow directions, but if you are struggling, there are actually QR codes that are throughout the instruction manual, and when you scan those, they bring you directly to a video explaining and demonstrating the step. And we found this so helpful, and it helped just prevent us from making any mistakes along the way. We are using this shed to store all of our outdoor essentials like tools we need for outside, gardening tools, and lawn equipment, and this frees up the older shed to store our kids' things like plastic pools and outdoor toys. We don't have a garage, and it's not really sensible to store a lot of these items in our basement, so adding the second shed was essential for us. Our backyard and deck has looked so messy and unkempt due to the lack of storage space, and our previous shed was basically inaccessible because there wasn't enough space for everything. So this Patio Well shed is crucial for us. We're so happy with it. It was easy to put together. It will fit everything we need and then some, and truly simplify our lives. You will see the before and after at the end of the video of our storage situation and how this Patio Well shed made it possible, so stay tuned for that. Patio Well has offered my audience an exclusive 15% off discount code CE15. I'll display that on the screen right here as well as in the description box, so be sure to take advantage of that discount code, and I just want to say a huge thank you to Patio Well for sponsoring this week's video. This took us a couple of days to build just because we had our kids with us, but I'm going to use the magic of editing to show you the final result. Here's our new Patio Well shed. We're so excited to have this, and let's get into decluttering. So the first thing that I did to start decluttering our shed was to take every single thing out of it, which was a huge project. You can see there was so much stuff, and everything that we do is always done with our kids around. We don't have like a village of people who are able to watch them for us, so the only time we ever have to do projects like this is on the weekends when my husband is off work and we have our children. So you'll see the baby running all around, and then sometimes Carson pops in as well. But it's a lot harder to try and do this stuff with kids, so you can only imagine how stressful this whole experience was. But this is something that we've been putting off for such a long time and needed to be done so desperately. Especially when you're decluttering a space like this that is just jam-packed full of stuff. It's really important to take every single thing out of the space so you can see what you have, and also so you can clean it out, because this shed was disgusting. It doesn't look bad on camera, but I will show you some close-ups in a couple of minutes once it's emptied out. It was gross in there. It was full of bugs, and it was just really needing to be cleaned. So not only did we want to declutter a lot of this stuff and also move a bunch of things over to the new shed, but we really wanted to clean this out. I am not really an outdoor type of girl. I don't love bugs and getting dirty and all the things that go along with going outside. So going into this shed was always a little bit frightening for me because I wasn't sure what was lurking around in here, if there were like rodents or chipmunks, insects, big spiders. I don't want to see any of that. So it was especially important for me that if I'm going to be using the shed going forward, that it was clean enough that I felt comfortable going in there and I could see what was in there instead of just stepping into the unknown.
Forever be in this moment, in this moment.
I know that it looks like we had so much stuff in this shed, and a lot of it was ours, but I do want to say that the majority of the chemicals and things like that, and actually a lot of gardening tools, were left behind by the previous owner. We have been in this house since July of 2021, and we've never gone through any of the things that the previous owner left behind. She was an avid gardener, but I honestly don't think that all that stuff was just hers. I want to say that maybe some of it even belonged to the owner before her, so I feel like all this stuff in the shed has been in there forever. It was covered in spiders, hence why I was wearing gloves. It was not a very pleasant experience going through everything, but we did eventually get everything emptied out of the shed, and this is what we were working with. So you can see the walls were super dirty, especially on the shelves. They were covered in, I don't even honestly know what, but they were very, very dirty. So I knew that we were going to need to break out the power washer so that we could clean all of this off.
Forever be in this moment, in this moment. Forever be, forever be.
And this is most everything that came out of the shed that we needed to go through. My husband did take some things already over to his new shed, but everything else is right here. There was so much stuff. I was completely overwhelmed. The next thing that my husband did was take down all of his things that he had hung up himself. He wanted to move those over into his new shed. And then once he's all done with that, we are going to start putting some things away into the new shed, because I find that when I'm doing a huge decluttering project and I feel really overwhelmed, sometimes the easiest way for me to go through everything is to start putting things back first, because usually the things you grab first are the things that are most important that you definitely want to keep, and then whatever ends up being left behind at the end are usually the things that you don't really need. And I feel like it all kind of declutters itself in a way.
Forever be, forever be in this moment, in this moment. Forever be, forever be.
Okay, so now, like I said, we're putting some things away into the new shed. So my husband moved his shelves over into his new shed. He's going to add some more shelves in a little bit and you'll see that. But we put those in there, and then we're hanging up some fishing rod holders. And to do this, he was just using like a really heavy duty Scotch tape. I think it holds like 30 pounds per inch or something like that. So instead of drilling into the metal shed, this was just an easier way to hang all of his fishing rods and get them up off the floor. I headed inside to get the baby down for his nap, and while I was in there, Jason went through his things and he started to declutter them. So a lot of those things in that bucket were left behind from the previous owner, and then everything else in the wheelbarrow was stuff that he is planning to put into the shed. So he kind of separated everything out to make it a little bit easier for us. Now we're just doing a little bit more hanging, and then we will get into putting things onto the shelves. Now, I wasn't doing this with really too much rhyme or reason or organization to it. I was just putting things that I felt like went together on the shelves, but my husband, like I said, is going to add another shelving unit in just a few minutes, and you'll see that. And then he has some bins that he used to organize his things, so it ends up being a lot more organized, but we needed to get everything out of that wheelbarrow. Now moving back to the clutter. So at this point, a lot of these things were things that we were going to be getting rid of. Now these chemicals, it's a very complicated situation because like I said, the former owner of our home left all those behind, and we're not planning to ever use them, and they've been sitting in our shed for multiple years now and taking up space. And I personally don't love having chemicals like that laying around in our shed in the backyard. It just feels dangerous and we don't need them. So we have put them all together kind of in like a big bin, and it's outside, and we are trying to figure out how to properly dispose of those things. There is like different types of torch fuel, and there's a bunch of different weed killers and things related to gardening, and there's bug sprays and just all kinds of different stuff, and I have no idea how to properly dispose of those things. So if you guys have any idea how I would go about doing that, I obviously want to do the thing that is best for the environment and for safety of animals and everything else. So please let me know in the comments how you would go about getting rid of these things. We're planning to contact our town's recycling center and find out if there's anything they can do for us, but in the meantime, they are just sitting in a big bin outside, and I do not like it. So at this point, I was trying to just clear off our patio area so I could get ready to power wash. So that's what I'm doing here, just kind of moving things around and figuring out what else needs to go into the new shed, and then if there's anything else that we can declutter. This side of our shed was such a mess. There's just random buckets with water in them, random toys, little rakes, a bicycle, the old lawnmower that doesn't work. That brush right there was also broken. So I wanted to go through all of that, and then I'm also just sweeping off all of these leaves. I really should have used the leaf blower for this, but at that point my husband was using it, but I will take it from him in a second so I can properly leaf blow all of this. But those pine needles, I swear they were reproducing by the minute. Every time I thought that I got them all, so many more would appear. It's crazy. I feel like pine needles are absolutely everywhere in our backyard, and it's super annoying. And now we are power washing the shed. I was getting absolutely soaked doing this, doing it in like an enclosed space like this. The water was just spraying all over me. So I actually had pictures planned for later that night that I had to take with a friend. So at one point I had my husband like step in and take over for me because it was literally just raining down water on me. but I did try to do as much of it as I could because I do enjoy power washing. I find it fun and like satisfying, but I really didn't feel like getting absolutely soaked. Like I said, I'm just not really an outdoorsy type of girl, so I'm not a big fan of getting dirty and wet and bugs and all the things that go along with being outside. But I think next summer is going to be the year of fixing up our outdoor spaces. Like I said, we've done so much work inside that our outside has been super neglected, and I would love to get it all looking really pretty next spring and next summer. This summer was also kind of a wash, literally, because it rained like every single day for pretty much our entire summer. We had terrible weather, so it really wouldn't have mattered what I did outside this year, but hopefully next summer we have better weather and we can get our yard looking really nice and pretty and cleaned up. At this point, I knew that I needed to let everything dry before we could continue, so I'm just power washing off the baby's pool so I can let that dry as well. I'm going to put that in the shed. We left it open so that the air flow would get in and dry everything off, but we were kind of at a standstill because we just needed to let this shed dry before we could move on to doing anything else in there. So this is a few days later. My husband had got his shelving in, so he's going to be building that really quickly. I was inside making spaghetti and meatballs for the family, so I left my camera out there for him while he was building his shelving unit, and I just thought this was so funny because my husband is not really a social media person. He does my YouTube videos with me when he has to, but it's not like his favorite thing in the world. But I thought it was funny because at one point the camera actually shut off and he went over and he turned it back on to make sure that he got everything that I wanted. And also just watching him doing this, like not building the shelf, but once he starts organizing, he's not really an organizer by nature. And obviously that's like what I do over here on YouTube. And so something about watching him trying to organize, I was just wondering the whole time, like, what was his methodology? What was going through his head as he was putting things away? Did he have like a reason for where he was putting things? Like, you know, I almost thought about asking him to do the voiceover for this section of the video because I would have loved to hear his thoughts. But anyway, he is organizing his shed a little bit. You could see everything was just kind of thrown in there. So it was really good that he got this shelf and he was able to do this because it ends up looking so much better. We have a basement, but we do not have a garage. And I feel like the things that you store in a garage versus a basement are very different. Like the things that you need for outside, you don't really want to have to go down in your basement to go grab them every single time you need them. So it's imperative that we had a lot of storage space. So this 10 by 10 metal shed has made a huge difference for us because now we can use this one for all of his outdoor things, some of his tools, all that type of stuff. But then the other shed we can use to store all of like the kids' toys over the winter, and we have somewhere to put the sidewalk chalk and the basketballs and all the random things like that. We desperately needed this additional storage, so we're super grateful to have it. So here we are on another different day, and it was time for me to clean up our deck. It was looking like a mess. If you guys watch my channel, sometimes when I'm filming and I'm facing the sliding doors out the kitchen, you can see that our deck is pretty much always a mess. I really do not like looking at it, so I was so excited that I finally had an opportunity to go out there and clean it up, and I really wanted to just prep everything for the cold season that we have coming. My kids have covered this water table in random toys. My older son had a bunch of like fish and stuff that he used to play with outside in there, and then the baby had left a bunch of his cars and things. So a lot of it did need to get tossed because it was not good anymore just from being outside in the rain constantly and sitting in just like a pool of water. So I went through all of it and I brought some inside so that I could try and clean them, but I did end up having to toss quite a bit of it. So I grabbed a trash bag from inside that I could fill up with any trash that I found while I was cleaning off the deck and just all the outside areas. We have a super nice oversized deck and it definitely needs to be probably sanded and refinished, restained, because it has certainly seen better days. Again, like I've said, we've had horrible weather for the last year. So, I mean, especially over the summer, it just poured constantly. So I feel like everything is damaged. I'm glad that we didn't invest in any furniture this year because it would have probably been destroyed outside. But like I said, we have a nice, beautiful, oversized deck. So hopefully next summer we can get some real furniture. We've never had like real nice outdoor furniture to sit and relax in. And I would love for this space to just be stepped up a little bit. I'd love to get maybe some hanging lights or something just to add some ambiance. But I would likely need to do a multi-part series in order to completely transform our backyard. So if that is something that you guys would be interested in, I would love to know so I can plan that for next spring or next summer. Typically, all of my videos are filmed inside and they're about homemaking, but I feel like this kind of falls under that category. So if you want to see a complete backyard transformation, I have flower beds that need to be completely ripped out and redone. We have to remulch. We need to probably refinish our deck. We have painting that you guys can see on the side of the house that needs to be done. We just have so much work. So if you would like to see that, please let me know, because that is an easy way to motivate me to actually get our backyard under control. And now it is time to do some more power washing, which I find to be super satisfying. Obviously, I really do enjoy power washing, but I don't enjoy the fact that I get absolutely soaked while I'm doing it, and I was wearing the wrong shoes for this. So I should probably get some rain boots for the next time that I plan on power washing. This right here is a blow-up dinosaur sprinkler. It's an inflatable, and I'm honestly not sure if it's salvageable. It's been outside for a long time, probably over a year and a half, something like that. We had bought it for one of Carson's birthday parties and loved it, and then it just got left outside. It was forgotten, and I tried to power wash it, but I'm honestly not sure if it's moldy or what it is, but I just could not get it fully clean. So you guys will have to let me know, does inflatable material like this mold? Is that what it is? Or could it be just super dirty and the power washer just wasn't able to get it all? My oldest son was using these coolers over the summer as pretend fish tanks. So he was filling them up with like dirt and water and toy fish and playing in them. So they were gross and desperately needed to be power washed. They're both broken as well, so we may have to get some new ones next year, but I figured I would clean them off and put them away. And I wanted to ask you guys, is this the type of thing that you're supposed to leave open when you're storing it so that it doesn't get gross inside, kind of like a refrigerator? If you unplug it, you're supposed to leave it cracked, I believe. Don't quote me, but I think that's the way it works. I need some help because, again, I'm not an outdoorsy type of girl. I don't know these things. I don't know anything about storing things in sheds and how to protect things, so I need all the insight that I can get on that type of stuff. I started power washing a portion of the patio here and I could not believe the difference. Look at this. It's crazy. I didn't have the time to power wash my entire patio, and also it's probably just going to get destroyed this winter if I do it now. So I'll wait until the spring, but look at the difference. It's crazy. The next thing that I wanted to do was go through our sandbox. It was nasty in there. All these toys were broken, every single one of them. It was time to just say goodbye to them, and we'll get some new toys for our sandbox next year. But I wanted to close this up for the season. My kids aren't playing in it right now, and it's just looking really dirty. It's getting full of leaves. So I raked it out, got all the leaves out. You'll see me grab my shovel in a second. And yes, I was just picking up the sand. I was bringing it over my fence and throwing it into the woods. And if that's not what you're supposed to do with sand, I don't know, but that's just what I happen to be doing with it. But yeah, I wanted to get this closed up for the season, so I cleaned it out, raked it out, and then I cover it. But I don't think this cover is good enough. It's definitely seen better days, so I may need to cover it up with some tarp or something for the winter. I wanted to remind you guys one more time of where we started. So here's the outside of our shed. Here is the inside of our shed, completely full of stuff. You couldn't even walk in there. Trying to get anything was pretty much impossible. It was just a complete disaster. And then I'm going to share with you the super satisfying after, looking so much better. There is way less stuff in here. Obviously we have a bunch of things in my husband's shed, but you guys saw that it was not out of control or anything like that. So we are feeling so much better about our storage situation going forward. I love that we have this extra shed over here that I can put all of the odds and ends and the kids' things, and then my husband's shed, he has plenty of room in there for all of his things. Now our deck is cleaned off for the season ahead. Next year, hopefully we can refinish it. Again, you guys will have to let me know if you're interested in seeing like a full backyard transformation in the spring. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new, and come back again next week for another video. Hello everybody, and welcome back to my channel for another video, or welcome if you are new. Today we are doing all kinds of decluttering around my house and just cleaning up. So if you need some motivation today, you've come to the right place. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. We're just going to go ahead and get started in our bathroom today. Whenever I'm cleaning my shower, I don't always empty out this shelf that we have here in the corner, and it tends to get pretty grimy underneath all of the products just from everything kind of dripping in and it being wet all the time. And it's good for me to go through it and declutter it every once in a while. So we're going to first take every single thing off of the shelves. I'm putting them into a laundry basket, and then I'm going to go through those things after I clean out the shower. My toddler had thrown all kinds of cars into the tub earlier, so I had to take all those out, and then I'm removing the bath mat, and I'm using my Kaboom. This sprays on purple and then it turns white when it's ready for you to scrub, and this is my favorite cleaning product right now for cleaning my tub. If I'm going to do the work of taking every single thing out of a space to declutter it, I'll always clean it as well. You might as well when your space is completely clear. It's just easier to clean it that way. And for me personally, cleaning, decluttering, and organizing all kind of go hand in hand. This is a Scrub Mommy, and it came with my Scrub Daddy Power Paste, and typically I would use those two things together, but I didn't have another brush to use to scrub out the tub, and this worked really well with the Kaboom.
Tired snowflakes are coming down, collapse into water when they hit the ground. sound of empty streets.
And now finally, I'm going to scrub out all of these shelves that I have in the corner of the shower. And once we're doing that and rinsing it off, then I'll let everything dry while I go through all of the products.
I can promise you're the only thing I see. Hold my hand and hear the words I say. Close your eyes and let us fade away. Build a secret.
If you are new here, we only have one bathroom and it's very small and the storage situation is not ideal. So we have to keep pretty much all of our shower products, like even the extras, inside of our shower on that shelf. That's literally like the only storage that we have for it because we only have one linen closet as well, and that's full of all kinds of other things. So anyway, if it looks like I'm keeping a lot, that's because we do actually need a lot of this, and this is all we have for our entire family of 4. So I'm pulling everything out and I'm wiping it down because, again, it gets kind of grimy in there, and then I'm putting aside anything that we're going to say goodbye to. And here's a quick glimpse of those things that I'm going to be decluttering, and then all the rest of this is going to go back into the shower.
Making echoes as we walk. There's no one left but you and me. It's like a made-up place that only we can see. Hold my hand and hear the words I say. Close your eyes and let us fade away. Build a secret place.
Moving on to our next decluttering project, we have to tackle the entryway. I feel like I've done this relatively recently, but it needed to be gone through again. And especially as we approach another season changing, we're heading into the really cold weather now from the fall into the winter. It's just always good to go through this space. And we don't have like a big mud room or anything like that. We have a small home. So this is, again, like our only storage option for all of this stuff. So we just try to make the most of the space that we have, but it definitely needed to be gone through and some things taken out of there. So I'm just removing everything from off of the shelves in this closet. I'm not going through like the coats and stuff because I know we're going to need those, but I did want to go through all of the shoes that were specifically on the shelves inside of the closet. I tried to vacuum, but my vacuum was dead, so I had to just sweep in there, and then I grabbed a cloth just to wipe down the floors a little bit. This is the original hardwood floor that we had in our house, if you guys were curious and you're new to my channel. But again, cleaning, decluttering, and organizing always goes hand in hand for me, so I try to clean out the space when I have it emptied. And now I'm going through all of the shoes and I'm putting them into pairs and just seeing if we have any that are missing their mate. My husband is like a shoe hoarder. He has so many pairs of shoes, and every single time I ask him to go through them, he has a really hard time parting with them. So I decided to grab 2 pairs of shoes that I never see him wearing, and I took them out of the closet, and I'm going to put them somewhere else entirely and wait and see if he asks me about them. And if he doesn't, in like 6 months, I'm going to declutter them.
So ignorant, I hate this song. It's like I'm alone among these friends I've always known. No, not ever, never, ever.
Now I'm just going through everything that's hanging on this shelf right here by our entryway and getting those put back into the closet as well. The shelf is really helpful because instead of me putting something on the back of a chair or throwing it on the floor, it's really easy for me to hang it on the hooks right by our entryway. But I do like to go ahead and eventually hang them on the hangers in the closet instead of leaving them on this shelf because it does start to look cluttered. This turntable we find really helpful for things that you need when you're just running out the door, and I wanted to go through it and see if there was anything that we didn't need anymore, but there really wasn't, so I just tidied it up and put it back into the closet. And now I'm going through all of the bins that have our winter hats and gloves and baseball caps and things like that, and just finding anything that no longer fits the kids or is just in rough shape and we don't need anymore. Our glove bin had a ton of gloves that were meant for outside, and I just felt like they didn't need to be in here in this entryway closet, so I removed a lot of the gloves and I brought them out into the shed. And as for the hats, there were a few hats that no longer fit either one of my kids, so I went ahead and decluttered those.
Will you come home again? I gave all of me, you gave none of you. Yet I couldn't see all these lies were true. What do you say? Oh, when your friends ask why we broke up, what do you do? Did everything
This backpack is what I usually bring when we're headed out somewhere. We're going to be gone for a few hours and I need a diaper bag. I would just prefer to carry a backpack over a regular bag when it comes to that sort of thing. But I haven't used it in a little bit because it wasn't like updated. It had summer clothes still in it and it had diapers that didn't fit my toddler anymore, and it had random snacks that have been in there forever that needed to go. So I went through all of that. I decluttered the diaper bag and then I refilled it with some things that we do need when we head out that I've just been kind of throwing in a different bag.
People knew her.
And here's an overview of the things I was able to declutter from that closet. And this is just how the closet is looking now. It looks much better. It's obviously not perfect, but it's much more functional than it was before.
Serving coffee to strangers, talking about
Now we're going to get into some cleaning motivation. My son's high chair was still out with his breakfast. It had been sitting there for a few hours, so I needed to clean that up and get his high chair put back where it belongs. And then I also had to sweep the floor because, again, my vacuum was dead, so I just wanted to quickly get some of these like chunks of things off the floor before I went ahead and washed the floors in a little while.
Where'd you go? Where's your heart at? Why'd you fall back? Lately, your afterglow is shining brighter, waking up an easy egg.
Moving on to the dishes, I always have so many dishes that I need to do, but actually on this day, a lot of the things in my sink was recycling. We tend to just throw our recycling into the sink because I do like to rinse it before I go ahead and throw it actually into our recycling bin. I'm pretty sure you're supposed to, but I still like to just make sure everything's clean before I recycle it. So if you're wondering why I do that, that is why. So we're just going to go ahead and get all of these dishes done, dried, put away, all the recycling taken care of before we move on to anything else.
Butterflies survive the wheel, even though she could knock down and never show.
I don't know if you guys can hear it in my voice in these voiceovers, but when I was filming on this day, I started to gradually come down with a cold, and so I'm doing the voiceovers and my nose is like all stuffed up and I'm coughing and it's just not super fun. So if you're wondering why my voice sounds a little bit funny, that is why. Hopefully that goes away quickly. I just do not have time to be sick. I have had a super busy schedule over the last 2 months with YouTube. You guys may have noticed like an uptick in sponsored videos, and this time of year, typically as a YouTuber, you get a lot more brand deals as we approach the holidays. So I've just been super busy, and I have, I think, like a week off here where I won't have a sponsored video. So I feel like that's why my body is like crashing and now choosing to have me get sick. I get questions sometimes about why I rinse my dishes before I put them in the dishwasher, and this is why. This is our filter. I've actually never taken it out of my dishwasher as long as we've had it. This is the first time I've ever rinsed it off, and you could see it was really not dirty at all. There was just like a little bit of grime on there, but I have seen those things looking absolutely disgusting before, and I know that's because a lot of people just put their dishes right in the dishwasher even with food all over them, and that something about that really, it just does not sit right with me. So again, I like to rinse my dishes off, and that's why.
Outside my window, is everything pale and cold? Can't seem to pick up my phone. It's been ringing all day long. Behind these clouds, I know the sun will be, but today's raining, so be patient with me. I'll be right. Somehow I must be somewhere the sky is blue. I'm too tired to sleep, too tired to do anything else than doing nothing. I'm too tired to rest, too tired, I'm blue, can't do nothing else.
Really quickly, I needed to refill my hand soap by the kitchen sink, so I'm just using my Jello pods to refill this. I believe it's pronounced Jello, but this stuff smells absolutely amazing. If you've never tried Jello before, you definitely should. But once I've done that, I'm just going to wipe down all around the sink area, and then I'm also going to wipe down the counters.
Inside my room, the heat's like a warm embrace. My bed feels like heaven. I lose track of time and space. Behind these clouds, I know the sun will be, but today's raining, so be patient with me. I'll be right somehow.
I noticed that my cat's water fountain was leaking everywhere. I think it was because the filter was old and needed to be replaced, so it just was kind of clogged and backing up and then leaking everywhere. So I was going to just clean that up really quickly. Unfortunately, I ran out of their filters, so I had to order a new one, and I wasn't able to properly set up their water fountain after this. I had to just pour a little bit of water right on the top there to make sure they had some to drink, but it's not flowing the way that it's supposed to be. And now I'm just decluttering the rest of the dining area and then also the living room. We had just stuff everywhere that didn't belong and needed to be put back where it belongs.
I'm too tired to sleep, too tired to do.
Whenever I clear off all of the surfaces that are catch-alls for us in my house, I always tell myself that I won't let it get that bad again, but it just always does. And yes, we should be better about putting things back where they belong after we're done using them, but at the same time, I think it's honestly that our house is so small that we lack storage, and a lot of the times everybody else, they don't know where these things are supposed to go, and there's just really not a proper place for them, so they just kind of get thrown around from room to room. I left this clip in here because I thought it was kind of funny. I was like absolutely fighting for my life trying to get this trash bag out. It would not come out. We ran out of our trash bags that go with this trash can. You need to use like the specific brand. Everything else doesn't fit. So we had like a random trash bag in there, and now I'm putting another random trash bag in there until we get our refills. But yeah, it was so difficult to get the trash out. So as for my next little decluttering project today, I needed to pick up the living room and all of the toys, and I wanted to go through them and kind of rotate them out. I found that doing a toy rotation system has made a huge difference for us when it comes to, first of all, my toddler playing. I feel like he plays better when he's got a new selection of toys every couple of weeks. But also it makes cleaning up a lot easier because we don't have all of these toys out all the time. They're not always accessible, so he doesn't make as big of a mess. But in this case, we had too many toys out. Things had been brought out over the week that typically aren't out, so I just needed to pick everything up and kind of reset this space. We do plan to add hinges and like a proper bench to this fireplace area, but we use I think it's the hearth or something, I don't know what you'd call it, as storage for our toy rotation. So my kids can't really access this because it's dangerous with that piece of wood there, and honestly that works out better right now because I don't want them always going in there and grabbing everything since I'm using it for this purpose. But yeah, we do plan to put hinges on there at some point. But again, like I said, I'm just trying to rotate out the toys, putting some away and bringing some new ones out. And now that I'm done with all of that, I'm going to go ahead and wash my floors, and I'm just using my Tinco wet dry vacuum to do that. I have run out of my Tinco cleaning solution that goes in here that you mix with the water, and I've actually been using like a capful of Thieves household cleaner concentrate inside of my clean water tank. to clean my floors, and I found that that is working maybe even better than the tin coat cleaning solution because the smell is a lot stronger. So I feel like it keeps the machine itself from getting as stinky as it can get, but also it just makes my house smell good. It kind of smells like a Christmas tree, and I really like it.
Small city thinking, I get why you left. Small-minded people sure know how to drink. I came to the party, I laughed at the jokes you made. I wish that I hadn't, 'cause now the joke's on me. I didn't come here just so I could watch you make a mess. I didn't come here to ugly cry in my favorite dress.
It is absolutely crazy how dirty the water is from the dirty water tank in this after I've cleaned my floors. It's always black, and I find it like a little bit disturbing that my floors were that dirty. Now we're moving on to my bedroom. I wanted to go ahead and make my bed, and then I had a whole bunch of clutter in the corner of the room that I needed to go through. If you guys watch my channel, I feel like it's like this every single week. I just, for some reason, collect clutter on my side of the room. My husband does as well, but I can definitely be worse about it sometimes, and I just needed to go through that and get all that put away. Our bedroom is just too small to have a bunch of clutter collected on one side of it. It makes you literally feel like the walls are caving in. I had clean clothes inside of my hamper that needed to be folded and put away, and so I was kind of throwing all of the dirty stuff onto the floor because obviously I'm not going to throw it on top of the clean stuff in the hamper. So I had to free up this hamper so I could get all that dirty stuff put away, and then I needed to go through that other laundry basket. The laundry looks a lot worse than it actually was. It really didn't take me all that long, but I had our duvet cover, our other duvet cover, clean inside of one of the laundry baskets, and that was taking up like the entire thing. So it looks really bad here, but it really wasn't that bad. I try to save my folding for last when I'm cleaning because it always hurts my back so much. So I'm just going to get all of this folded as quickly as possible. Some of it does get hung up, so I'm just kind of throwing those things aside. And you guys can see my cat coming in. Every single time I ever fold in my bedroom in a video, he comes up and lays on the pillow, and I think it's so funny. He's not doing it right now, but I feel like he does lay down in a minute. But he's just such a funny little cat. He loves that pink pillow. That's actually a maternity pillow that I've had since I was pregnant with Sutton, and I still sleep with it because it's so comfortable. But also, I don't have the heart to put it away because my cat loves it so much.
You told me there'd be better days, and nothing that can pull us under. You wanna take the pain away, but know that I was born as a fighter. We fade, but we're better than that. We're better than that. I know you know, so why are we holding on, holding on? Hello, seems like we're back on stop but go. I go red and you go left before it turns to red. It's true.
Now I'm going to go ahead and put away everything into my drawers. I have done a little bit of decluttering of my own wardrobe recently, and I've shared that in recent videos. So if you are new to my channel and you need more motivation, I have been posting a ton of decluttering videos recently. So I would love for you to go and check those videos out if you are needing some motivation. Yes, this was super dusty, but I was really not feeling well. I was kind of starting to feel under the weather, so I was not about to clean it up. I just needed to put it away. Now I'm just folding up our other duvet cover, and I'm going to put that away for the next time I need to change out our sheets and stuff, and then I'm going to vacuum our room. And welcome back to my channel. This week we are doing all things holiday prep, so I'm decluttering our home to accommodate new things coming in for the holidays. So that includes things like toys for the kids and clothing. I'm also sharing some cleaning motivation, of course. We all need that heading into a season where we have tons of guests over. And I'm also going to quickly share my chocolate chip cookie recipe. Sounds so basic, but I promise you they are the best chocolate chip cookies. So if you have a holiday party and you need to bring a dessert, I got you. So this is our basement playroom, and it was a complete disaster. So I'm just showing you guys an overview of where we're starting. I wanted to get this space cleaned up. I wanted to declutter some toys. Since my kids are going to be receiving tons of gifts from family this year, I wanted to make sure that we had some space for those things and just kind of do a recheck on the inventory of toys that we keep in this basement playroom. Having this room has been so awesome for our family because we have somewhere to store all these toys instead of just having them all up in our living room. We live in a very small home, so prior to us having this portion of the basement finished and creating this playroom, we just had toys absolutely everywhere, and they were taking over Carson's bedroom and they were taking over the living room, and it was so overwhelming for me. So yes, this room is a mess, and I do try to get down here at least somewhat regularly to pick it up when it becomes messy like this, but honestly I would so much rather have the mess be in our basement playroom than upstairs, because I can just shut the door and it's like out of sight, out of mind, and I don't have to think about it, and I'm not tripping over all of these toys. So all of that being said, we do keep some toys upstairs obviously for our kids, but it's a very limited selection, and the majority of what we have is downstairs in the basement playroom. I have done a couple of videos in this basement playroom trying to declutter it and trying to organize it, but it's a very slow process. My youngest is about to be 2 in January, and my oldest is 6.5. So my 6-year-old really doesn't have that much of an interest in a lot of these things anymore. He does still enjoy playing down here when we come down. Also, look at this spider. Every single time I go to clean this playroom, I find a huge spider. But anyway, he doesn't really play with a ton of these toys anymore, but my youngest is so young and his interests are ever changing, and I want to make sure that we're prepared for whatever it is that he enjoys. So we have like trains, we have Lincoln Logs, we have Paw Patrol, we have just all the different toys that a little boy could possibly be interested in, and it's been so nice that I really don't have to go out and buy Sutton very much because we already have everything. But as he gets bigger and he starts to lose interest in some of these things, I'm pretty sure we're done having kids. So we will start to declutter things more aggressively, but I just try to take it a little bit at a time. I have been on somewhat of a decluttering kick for the last, I want to say year, but definitely the last few months. I have really enjoyed going room to room and decluttering as much as possible. So I'm a little bit sad that we're going to be taking in some more inventory after Christmas, but I'm sure it will be worth it because my kids will have the best day ever. And I would love to ask for experiences for Christmas, but honestly, it never goes over well when I ask a family member to gift us an experience instead of an item, because I think what they really want is to see like the magic and the joy in the kids' eyes when they open up a brand new toy. So to them, they would so much rather give them something that they're going to be excited about in the moment and don't necessarily look at it from the same perspective that I do. But a tip that I have for you guys, if you hadn't already thought of it, is to try and ask for experiences and memories versus physical items as much as possible for the holidays if you're trying to just keep clutter at a minimum.
And nothing that can pull us under. You wanna take the pain away, but know that I was born as a fighter.
One of the downsides to having a basement playroom and not having all these toys upstairs are like the critters, because like you guys saw earlier, there was a big spider in here, and the last time I filmed in here I found a huge spider, and there's just a lot of things lurking in the basement that I would prefer not to have to be around. I feel like there's definitely less bugs in the playroom area than there is in the rest of the basement where it's unfinished. But I still feel like anytime we're down here, I'm on edge because I'm like anxious that a daddy longlegs or like some kind of little bug or spider is going to pop out at me. But when I was vacuuming, I definitely sucked up quite a few bugs and things. This toy organization system that we have down here has worked out really well for us. I like having everything in separate bins as much as possible just to keep it all organized and keep all the like items together. But we also utilize a lot of containers and we store a lot of things in our closet. So this bin here is everything that I'm going to donate from in the playroom, which, you know, you see all these toys and you think that's not much, but I try to do this slowly over time so I don't like completely freak my kids out getting rid of everything. So this is the little collection of things I'm going to donate today. It's more than it looks like, honestly, because the bin's kind of big, but we have a lot of toys in here, you guys know that, and that's because I have a almost 2-year-old and a 6-year-old, and so at some point I would imagine that the baby's interests are going to be quite similar to the things that Carson was interested in when he was the same age. So as of right now, like, he's starting to get into Paw Patrol, so I brought out the Paw Patroller, and we have a bunch of Paw Patrol toys in there for him, but yeah, I would imagine over time he's going to be interested in like Paw Patrol PJ Masks, tools, cars, trucks. He's starting to get into a lot of those things. So I'm saving them so I do not have to repurchase a bunch of stuff in the future. And we already have everything that we could need. And then as they get older and their interests change, I can start donating more and more. But it's just a slow process. We love having this playroom because every single time we come down here, it's like a whole bunch of brand new toys for the kids because they don't come down here all the time. So they have so much fun when we do bring them down here, and yeah, we are really happy that we have this like basement play area and we can store all of these toys and things down here instead of
having to have them all up in the living room taking up space. Not to toot my own horn, but my chocolate chip cookie recipe is the best. So screenshot this if you're wanting to try them. I feel like the biggest piece of advice that I could give you guys is to weigh your ingredients instead of using measuring cups. So you'll notice I had mostly the weights, like in grams, on my recipe, and I just used my food scale to make sure that I'm having like the exact appropriate measurements of everything. Using measuring cups is just not super accurate because everybody packs the ingredients into the measuring cups a different way. So just to make sure you're using the exact amount you're supposed to, the best thing you can do is weigh your ingredients. These chocolate chip cookies are so good, and I feel like the secret to them not only is weighing the ingredients, but also it's the chocolate chips. I always use half semi-sweet chocolate chips and half milk chocolate chips, and I use like the big milk chocolate chips, and the semi-sweet I do the mini ones, and I mix them together before I put them into the dough, and it just changes everything about the cookie. Something about having both types of chocolate chip in there is just the best. I have an aunt who has been baking her entire life, and she makes the best of everything. And she asked me for this recipe, so that's how I know that they're good. And the fact that she was impressed made me so happy. These cookies are soft without being undercooked. They're also the perfect thickness as well, so they never fall flat and get super crunchy and hard. I'll try to type out the recipe as well in the description box if I have the space, or I'll leave like a pinned comment or something, but my recommendation is to screenshot the recipe from the beginning of the video if you can read my chicken scratch. I feel like another key tip that I have is the way you put these cookies onto your cookie sheet. So you want to use one of those like cookie dough scoopers, and obviously have clean hands when you're doing this, or wear gloves, but you get a big spoonful into that cookie dough scooper, and then you kind of make it look like an egg shape, and that really helps, I think, to prevent the cookies from falling flat. Another thing that I do is I put the dough into the fridge between each batch so that it can chill, and for some reason having the dough just a little bit chilled helps them to bake better. Here's how they look all done. They are so good. My favorite cookies. My husband eats these in like 10 minutes flat when I make them. He was so excited when he got home from work and I had made these. And now we are going to work on decluttering my youngest's wardrobe. I feel like something that a lot of people like to buy for babies is clothing. So pretty much every Christmas we come home with a bunch of different outfits for him. So I wanted to make sure that his dressers were decluttered before that happens. So the first thing that I did was dump out the clean load of laundry that was waiting to be folded onto the floor, and I'm just sitting down and getting all of that sorted into piles. I do tend to hang the majority of Sutton's clothes just because it's so much easier for me than folding everything. So I'm putting some things into a pile to hang up, and then other things I'm putting into a pile to go into his dresser drawers. But before we put them away, we're going to declutter what's in there. I tried to just speed right through this so that I didn't bore you guys, because I personally don't like folding laundry, and I also don't like watching myself fold laundry. I find this to be incredibly boring, so I totally get it if you guys want to skip ahead a minute so that you don't have to watch this part, but it's a pivotal part of the process.
I had my husband put up this rod in Sutton's closet a couple of months ago. I want to say maybe it was even over the summer, and it's made such a difference for me when it comes to his laundry, just being able to hang the majority of his things in here. It's easier for me to see what's clean and what he has to wear, the options and stuff, but also it's just easier in the sense that I don't have to fold everything. But as I'm putting things away in here, I was also taking things out that were summer, because obviously it's not summer weather here anymore and he's not going to fit into those things next summer. He's at that age where he's just growing like crazy. So I got all of those things out and I'm replacing them with all of his winter items. So now we have pajamas, and somehow he always accumulates kind of a large collection of pajamas, and I feel like we actually need them all. Like, for some reason, pajamas are just hard for us. Like, we just need a ton of options. But I'm going through the drawer and finding anything that doesn't fit him anymore and throwing that aside, and also just getting anything out that's like short sleeves, because we're definitely not going to need those anytime soon. Now that Sutton is getting older, he can sleep with a blanket, but we do typically put him in a pair of cotton pajamas with a fleece sleep suit that has like the footholes over it so that it's like a wearable blanket, because he still kicks off his blankets if we give him one, and I'm just worried all night that he's cold. But I'm curious, if you guys have a baby around the same age as him, what do you put them in for bed? Do you worry about the temperature of the room and whether or not they're cold the way that I do? I feel like my entire parenting journey, have always worried about what temperature my kids' rooms are and if they're comfortable when they're sleeping, and it's way more stressful than it needs to be.
Small city thinking, I get why you left. Small-minded people. Sure know
In this bottom drawer here, there was all summer clothes that I had already kind of started putting aside, so I'm just putting them all into this laundry basket. I will go ahead and sort through this later on and put things into piles of what we're going to keep and what we're going to donate. But you'll see there was a lot of stuff that I was able to get out of his dresser. So either way, I feel really good that I got this decluttering done, and now we have space for anything new that might come in.
now I'm kinda glad you did. 'Cause now you adore me. Go ahead now.
This clip is a little out of order because this was actually like first thing in the morning. I was stripping all my sheets off of my bed so that I could throw them into the wash. My husband was out of town for work when I was filming this video, so I was trying to make myself feel better about having to be alone by washing all of my bedding so that I could get into a clean, fresh, good smelling bed for the few days that he was out of town. Might seem silly, but when you're solo parenting 2 kids and juggling all the things that come along with that for multiple days in a row, I feel like having your bed be cozy and inviting at the end of the day is just like crucial for trying to get any relaxation in. And along with that, I wanted to make sure that the rest of the room was clean and tidy, so I'm going around all the surfaces in the room and clearing them off and making sure there's no unnecessary junk around that just doesn't need to be there. It had been so long since I've cleaned off this dresser that my husband's tie that he wore to a wedding back in September was still on the dresser from when we got home and he took it off. So this was clearly very overdue, and I'm glad that I got it done. And I know you can't really tell on camera, but there was so much dust, so it was a good thing that I cleaned this off.
Oh no, anxiety creeps up on me.
Is this how it's supposed to feel? Tell me when it's over. I got someplace that I gotta be.
With the light coming into the room and reflecting on the TV, I could also see a ton of dust, so I wanted to make sure that I wiped this off too.
Guys, get out of what you call home. Your name is
I don't know what it is about our room, but I just really don't enjoy cleaning our room. I really like when it's clean, but the process of cleaning it, I don't know if it's just because it's so small and awkward, and also just the fact that I'd prefer my kids' rooms be clean before my own, but I just don't do this often enough. But it's always worth it. Every single time I go ahead and do like a deep clean of our space, I always feel so good when I get into bed that night, and it's like a peaceful and serene environment to lay down in. So if you've been putting off cleaning up your space, this is your sign to go ahead and do it. My duvet cover was still wet at this point, so I wanted to start making my bed a little bit. Our room is just so tiny that when the pillows are on the floor, it literally feels like you can't move in here. And that's all it takes to make you feel like the walls are caving in on you. So although this is a little bit out of order, I needed to get some things off the floor so that I could physically move around the room.
you're on your own. But baby, it's another lie. Remember you were made. I try to work.
I had a bunch of random stuff that had accumulated on this tall dresser in the corner, so I'm going to clear that off. And then there was another thick layer of dust over here as well, so I had to make sure that I wiped all of this down and got all that dust out of here.
Oh, it doesn't work. I try to work.
I've been holding on, I wouldn't let you go. 'Cause every time I try, you find it loose.
You'll notice here that I bent over to pick something up and totally missed a couple of other things that were underneath the dresser, but I will get to them when I'm vacuuming. I had left my yellow vacuum upstairs. I've typically been using this downstairs in the basement playroom because I do have a cordless vacuum now upstairs, but I figured that I would just go ahead and use this one while it was up here, and I'm just kind of going around the perimeters of the room to get like all the dust and stuff off the baseboards and out from underneath the furniture. And this vacuum is the best one for me to use in order to get into those awkward spaces. And this is what I mean about stuff being on the floor and feeling like you can't move. So there was all kinds of pillows and blankets over on that side, and I just could not get in there to vacuum, so I had to put it all on the bed, even though I'm going to have to remove it in a second in order to put the duvet back on.
You know me better than I ever thought you could. You see my body.
I had picked up a couple of new pillowcases from Walmart, just plain white ones, and I wanted to get those on the pillows. I did wash them with the duvet cover, but that was still wet. It's crazy. The pillowcases were dry, but the duvet cover took me 3 times through the dryer before it was fully dry. Finally, we're putting the duvet back on, and you guys already know I always do my little sushi roll method to get my duvet cover back on. And it's funny, I feel like this method is really starting to gain some traction because every once in a while I'll be scrolling on Reels and I'll see somebody doing a tutorial on how to do the sushi roll method to put their duvet cover back on, and it always makes me laugh because I feel like I never saw it before. And then now all of a sudden it's like a thing. So I'm glad that other people are catching on because this is definitely the easiest way to put your duvet cover back on and have it all be like even and in the right spots and not have anything all bunched up and messed up.
once we're all done doing this, that is going to be the end of this week's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it and you found it motivational. As always, thank you so much for watching. Once again, I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you are new and turn your notification bells on so you don't miss any of my future uploads. And I hope I'll see you again next week for a new video.